All right. Right, on that evening spin, 45 minutes, get that final bit out for the day. Got some stuff I've been wanting to catch up on YouTube, so join me. Got a cool live video from a local PT, Tim Wu, be playing, and then whatever we come across on YouTube. All right, cool. Switch it over. Let's make it happen. It's getting warmed up. Got 45 minutes here. Something quick, easy. Just spin it up, get the legs going, and we'll go from there. All right, let's see.
Yeah, here we are. It's Wednesday. It's 6 o'clock, not 5 o'clock. It's Dr. Tim Wu, SoCal Bike PT, coming to you live from the Cycling, Performance, and Injury Support Group. While y'all get in here and join, we're going to party a little bit. We got good stuff on deck today. We're talking about strength training, the basics. Talking about routines for the core. Talking about calf cramps. I hate calf cramps. Talk about how to get rid of those. I'm going to turn this music off before Facebook kicks me off. Alright, what's up everybody? Like I said, it's me, Dr. Tim Wu, coming to you live from beautiful, still incredibly hot, Southern California. Actually rode outside yesterday, and I came home and there's so much salt sweat down the back that took the jersey off and just couldn't tell what was jersey and what was sweat. Okay, anyways, if you're joining in the group, anytime you come in today, blow it up with some stars and thumbs up so that I know you're there and I can talk to you. And by all means, if you have questions while we're doing this, or something I say goes woo, over your head, or in one ear out the other, go ahead and put, what was that again? Or raise something and let me know and we'll talk about it. So, thank you, first and foremost, so much for all the questions. I've actually been getting a lot more on like direct message than in the comment section. So if you have a question, it's fine. Put it in the comments. Like, if you have the question, someone else has it. It's fine. We are all here together to rise up our knowledge base so that we're all smarter, more informed, better bike riders who stay injury-free and go out there and kick some ass and drop that one guy in the group ride that always beats you. That guy is my motivation. I want to beat that guy. Okay, so this is probably backwards for you guys, but that's fine. It says strength training basics. So this has been a bit of a hot topic. Maybe not a hot topic, but we talked about last week. Should you be strength training in the off season or in general? The answer was yes. Now we're talking about like why the hell you should do that. Yeah, okay? You know, I don't want to get bulky. You're not going to get bulky. But it's never wrong to be strong. So when I write strengthening programs for specific people, either in the off season or in season, whenever, one of the things I really want to think about is planes. Not airplanes. Like, airplanes are fun. We're not talking about that. We're talking about movement planes. So what that means is, let's think about this. There are three kind of main planes that the body can move in. So there's this plane coming at you. Okay? Like this plane. That's the sagittal, or I'm moving in this plane. Sagittal. This is bike riding. You're constantly moving in this plane. Like, we get enough dose of this. Then there's your frontal plane, your left to right. So I'm going to walk left to right across my wall here. That's your frontal plane, okay? We don't really get a lot of this or anything in bike riding. So remember that. Frontal plane, we don't really get a lot of that. Then the other one is the transverse or rotational plane. So anyone out there, if you're kind of moving like this, or if you're taking your leg and you're kind of moving it like that, that is rotational. So when I'm thinking of strength training basics, we're thinking about those two ladder planes, the frontal and the transverse. Strength training should be about building resiliency and strength in these planes, because typically bike riders, since we spend so much time here, it's these planes that we get injured in. Hidden benefit of doing the training to not get injured in this plane or this plane is you get a lot of performance out of it because it's all about generating energy. If you're trying to generate energy to move forward and you're losing it to the side or you're losing it in rotation, that's free energy that you're leaving on the table. So one of the things I work on a lot, I would recommend for strength training basics, is to focus on exercises that challenge stuff in this plane. So for example, if we're also going to loop in like routines for core stuff, I'm going to flip you around. Hang on, don't get dizzy. Don't get dizzy. I know. Onto the table, one of the best kind of like start building some strength, which is the ability to generate force and work on some of your core at the same time, is to get into doing side planks like that. And I'm on my feet if you can't see it down there. But the fantastic thing about side plank, this is a frontal plane activity, meaning I'm working on stability through here, this hip, I can't fall down, building some strength in there. If that's too hard, you can actually kick it down to just the knees and hold yourself up there. Just the isometric component, you're not necessarily building strength yet, but you're starting to turn on all the muscles that help support you in that kind of left-right frontal plane where we tend to have injuries happen. The other thing I like to have people do, we're talking about challenging movements in this direction, especially with regards to your legs, is stuff on one foot. Oh man, I'm gonna have to demonstrate balance. It's gonna be risky. Okay, so we're on one leg. So the natural tendency is to like fall to the side because you don't have the stability in this plane. So holding that and literally just standing there is just the start. That's some of the basics. Like strength doesn't mean you have to load it by holding something heavy yet. You got to first own the ability to even hold that position. So just balancing on one leg with a slight bend in your knee and just standing there and trying to be stable, that's a great way. Those two, the side planks and just like practicing like standing on one leg, is a great way to work on that kind of frontal plane balance. The other kind of strength training basic, talking about like working on the rotational plane stuff, is to challenge your stability in that plane. So what I mean is by stability is the ability to control, going to the table, to control motion that may be happening there. So a way to kind of do some strength training basics and get some routines for core in there are exercises that challenge both of those things. So if you're on the floor and you're on your hands and knees, which by the way, anyone that follows me knows that I love this quadruped position. So when you're on your hands and knees, what you can do is you take one arm up, take the opposite arm, so I have opposite leg, so my left leg out and back, my right arm up. Can't really see. Like that. Oh God, I'm a little sore. Out straight like that, and slowly back down. It's challenging and turning on some of those core muscles around here that you want to fall all over the place, but you're challenged to maintain stability while we're moving the arms up and down. So these are called bird dogs. They're one of my favorites. And it starts off easy like this, just getting your body weight and using the balance that way. But what you can do with everything is if you want to progress it, make it harder, you add some resistance and weight to it. So that'd be like taking a resistance band and trying to pull that up. And the principle behind the basics of the strength training stuff we work on is take a basic movement that challenges those other planes we don't typically use in bike riding so much. First, learn how to own them. What's up, Daniel? What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're talking about strength training basics here, buddy. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about spending so much time in this movement. We got to train this movement to the side, and we got to train this stuff. So, go back and watch the replay. We can see some exercise demonstrations for working on this plane stuff and for rotational things. But I want to get into more for like, someone asked about, talking about like routines for core work. It also starts at where is like your core stability at in the first place. So core literally means like any muscle kind of groups from like here to here if we are a barrel of things. Anything through this region is what we're talking about. So one of the best ways I use to kind of like assess, and you can do this yourself at home later. You'll look weird doing it, but that's okay. It's all good for you. It makes you a better bike rider. You go on your back. Ugh. And I'm sore, so this is going to be fun to watch. So with your legs up 90 degrees, and you're holding them there, You want to take your lower back, where there's usually a bit of an arch if you're not on such a padded table. You want to push that lower back into the table. See, some muscles are firing there. You want to be able to take a nice deep belly breath. And then very slowly, you want to see, can you slowly lower this leg down to the ground and back up without letting your lower back arch out and come off the table. So you see someone kind of go like, I got it, and they're arching their back out like crazy. They don't got it. So what we want to assess here is, can you lower one foot to the ground, tap it, and come back up? This is assessing our ability to have some stability through this region while breathing, because if you hold your breath, that's cheating, and move our legs, which bike riding is having some core stability, generating power with your legs, and putting it down to the pedal. So we can take the bike away, put you on your back, kind of assess, do you have the ability to keep that lower back pressed into the table while you do it? So if you can't even do that, this is where I start people at, is start on your back push to the ground, nice deep belly breath, slowly lower that heel, tap the ground, boop, and don't let you arch out as you do it. That's where we start. If you can't even do that, everything else that's like sexy core workouts you can find on the internet, it's a bit of a moot point. What you're doing is just strengthening, making them stronger without any control.
Hey, thanks for the thumbs up, Brett.
The kind of like strength training basics starts with the idea that you first need to be able to complete that movement you want to work on without any added resistance. And then once you have gotten good at doing that movement, you can then add resistance. So to progress from doing like the side planks and the bird dogs, one of my other favorite things I like to have people do, yes, I'm gonna demonstrate, so this is always fun to watch, because if I look like crap, I hear about it later. So take the kettlebell. First of all, without the kettlebell, you would get in onto... Oh, what's up, Ryan? Good to see you from down under.
Thanks.
So, it's good to work on your squat. I'll do a whole thing on squats later. But what I like to work on with a lot of riders is standing position, kind of slowly stepping back and putting the toe down and going down into like a lunge, and then coming back up. And if you can't do it slow with no weight and control it, then you should not be adding weight yet. Like, don't add the weight yet. You got to own the movement first. Step back, slow. I hope I look good. Back down, drive from the glute, back up. So if you do this and you're like, oh shit, and you like fall down and you can barely do that, like adding a kettlebell or something heavy is only going to make it way worse. Sure. So once you have the ability to do something like that, kettlebell up, add some resistance, slowly step back. Oh God, I rode hard yesterday and on Zwift this morning, and back up. So you see here, if you don't have the stability in this plane, when you start to go on one leg, you'll fall and you just don't got it. So this is where strength training can be used strategically to kind of shore up the weak spots on your body that where energy dissipates when you're on the bike. So kettlebell, reverse lunge, drive that leg up. It's currently one of my favorite things to be doing, and it's great this time of year if it's off season for you. Also good to throw in kind of like at least one day a week when you're in season or want to keep strong any time of year. So I will continue to talk about strength training stuff for weeks and weeks and weeks. I've currently been like writing out a 4-month off-season strength training program, taking a bunch of people through. So I'm going to start on the lives, just taking you guys through like what is in that program. Because if you pay attention, maybe you'll get some free strength training stuff over the next couple weeks. So keep tuning in. And then, well, I'm out of breath from that. I'm not going to lie. Bike riding makes you good at bike riding and nothing else. That is exhausting already. So the other big thing that I got a question about was like calf cramps. Like, what is it? Why do they happen? Why do I keep having them? And what can I do about it? So there's kind of two big reasons why you're going to have kind of calf cramping. So let's start with what the calf is. The calf is this part of your lower leg. It would be the muscles that allow you to
good balance, man.
Go like that. The two big muscles we have back here are your gastrocnemius, which is the one that looks like a little butt when you flex it. And the second one is your soleus, which is this one, which is kind of underneath it. Now, assuming you're not the most dehydrated person on the planet at a certain point. What are calf cramps coming from? Typically, it is you're using the calves. Let me get down so you can see it. Using your calves to generate force to the pedal instead of the glute. Trust me, it sounds crazy, but as far as the pedal stroke motion goes, when you come over the top of the pedal stroke, two main muscle groups are going to generate force into the pedal. Quad and glute. So you want this to shorten and this at the same time to go push. You see that? These are going to go push. This is where the force should be generated from. Power, power. Big muscles, big muscles. Big booty, big quads, big power. Now, if this isn't doing mostly a lot of the work and helping with here, then your little calves down here are going to do a lot of the job. The main role of this part of your leg is not to generate the power, it's to transfer it. Generate the power, down here, this is a nice stable structure. Generate the power to the pedals, and then you come up under, okay, that's what it should look like. Now, things to kind of identify that will kind of sound the alarm in your head that there may be an issue is when you're pedaling, or if you can find footage of yourself pedaling, if you start getting excessive ankle movement in your pedal stroke. If you're this guy that comes over the top and you look like you're trying to wave to your friend with your foot, we call it excessive ankling, meaning you're doing a lot more ankle movement that should really happen on the pedal stroke. Really, the ankle doesn't move that much, ideally. The other thing you can kind of look for is, this is a fun one, if you're at home and you want to practice some of your balance stuff to kind of expose if you're really dominant for using your ankles for everything, is if you stand on one foot and lock your knee out and you feel your ankle muscles start moving around like crazy because only your foot and ankle and calf are the ones keeping you from falling over, your natural predisposition is to use all of this down here to stabilize your whole body instead of using like the hip to stabilize up here. So a lot of times people have really bad glute activation or not a lot of strength back here. You make them stand on one foot and they're like, oh God, and their calf starts firing like crazy. It's nuts. And you can compare side to side. You lock the knee out, you stand there, and if you don't look rock solid like me, I work on this just for you guys, and you see the ankle moving around like crazy, that's indicative that your natural movement pattern is to just use that calf and ankle for everything. So if that's the case, and you're riding a bunch, those muscles are going to get real tired real fast and start cramping out like crazy. So hopefully that sheds a little bit of light on calf cramping. Like I said, if you're not the most dehydrated person in the world, and that's causing it, like you're going to feel cramps freaking everywhere. It's not just in the calves. But if it's habitually in your calves, assess. Don't guess. Stand on one foot and see. Do you even have the ability to use your hip for balance? Or is everything coming from your ankle? So, if that makes sense, give a few likes so I know, like, yeah, that totally makes sense, bro. Like, I like that. Beep, 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 beep. If you're on the replay and that makes sense, hit replay. That makes sense. So that makes sense. And if not, we'll do more on it because I'm sure you guys have noticed by now, I can talk about anything for as long as possible. So as long as we guide me in the right direction, you'll get what you want to hear. So today we talked about strength training basics, talked about the 3 planes of motion that we have, the sagittal plane, which I'm moving at you in that plane right now. This is bike riding. This is us.
Nice.
We live here. We don't really need to work on this so much. We got this. Second plane is your frontal. This plane, side to side, put the hands in the air. We don't do a lot of this. Not a lot of stability left to right. This is where problems occur. And the third one is the rotational plane. Anything that can rotate, the leg, arms, here, shoulders, those are all rotational things. That's the other plane we want to practice working on with strength training so that when you try to generate power on the bike, you don't lose any of that power into this plane or this plane. You want to keep all of it and control it so you can go this way. And you got to learn how to do the movement, whether it's squatting, lunging, jumping, whatever. You got to learn the movement first without any resistance or weight, so you know how to do it before you load it with something cool, heavy, and sexy like kettlebells or like a big squat rack. Okay? Remember, own the movement first, then add the resistance to get the strength gains. Okay? And like we covered last week, the more important like benefit of doing strength training, where basically lifting and moving heavy things, is you get an increased ability for your brain to tell muscles to fire and turn on. You know, if I'm like, come on, turn on, I'm having difficulty, you put something heavy on the arm, your body reflexively goes, oh yeah, I don't want to drop that, cool, and now it turns on way more, which you can apply that principle to anywhere in your body. Second thing we talked about is routines for core. I could come up with routines all day, but I want to go with the principles of it, which is, do you even have a baseline level of stability in this region to tolerate anything else? That was the test where we lie on our back, kind of bring our legs up and down, making sure we still breathe, and keep our back flat on the table. Try that and let me know. If you can't do it, like, cool, you're at ground zero on core stability stuff. There's work to do. If you can knock that out and it's totally fine, let me know too. Like, yeah, that was easy. Give me more, Dr. Wu. I want to hear it. And then the third thing we covered is calf cramps. Assuming your hydration is on point, it's most typically a compensation at the calf to try and stabilize your leg, because this part, your booty, your glutes, are not doing their job. Big, strong, stable muscle that can generate a lot of power and keep you safe. Calves, very relatively smaller muscle group that is meant more to apply that force to the pedals and not so much be the main driver for generating power to the pedals. So, anyone that's still on here, if you have any questions, I'm going to hang out for a second and answer some of that. I'm going to put on a little more Drake because it's been one of those days, man. It's been a good day. We've been vibing. We've been helping people out in the clinic. I went bike riding today. I had a healthy lunch, and I'm going to go home and play with my kiddos. It's God's plan, baby. It's a good day. So, thank you so much for tuning in. It's Dr. Tim Wu, SoCal Bike PT, Cycling Performance and Injury Support Group. I'll see you guys next week, probably at 5 p.m. Pacific again. Keep it real out there. I love the questions. Keep it coming. You guys drive me forward. I'm here for you. Let's go.
Solid work, Tim. Solid work. All right. Sounds good. What do we got? 20 minutes left here. Turn this up a bit. All right, let's see. What's I got on tap? All right, let's see if we can catch some Phil Gaiman. This thing.
Now a little bit of acceleration by former World Tour driver.
So I'm not exactly sure what happened next, but from what I can gather, the event, it was a points race qualifier, which means the qualifying for the final round, so the top, I think, like 20 out of 30 riders advance. Generally, that's not like a dangerous kind of race. There's not a whole lot at stake, like the people who are going to qualify. All you have to do is get a few points. So I think it was going into the third sprint. I was second wheel with like half a lap to go, and I moved up track to go around the guy who was first to start the sprint, and I think behind me people had already started sprinting, and when I moved up, I look over my shoulder, but someone must have just been coming by at 2 or 3 times my speed, and the best I can gather is that someone either hit my elbow or my handlebar. I moved into their lane. That would be my fault, and then I'm on a pavement going 45 miles an hour. So I was laying there, and I felt the collarbone. I was like, oh, this is kind of bad. I think this might be a bad one. And then at that moment, I felt another pain in the back, which was someone. And then I saw a guy yard sail over me. So his front wheel came to a stop in my scapula, which broke that. So I was like, oh, I think this is bad. Ooh, it just got worse. That was how that. I was conscious the whole time. I might have been knocked out from that pain, but I remember those things, and that's the best I can tell from how I landed in the hospital. This series is brought to you by VeloGuide. VeloGuide connects traveling cyclists with a bike and a guide in 72 countries around the world. It's a great way to ensure a fun, safe, and customizable ride with a local expert or even a pro. Go to veloguide.com/cookies to get $20 off your next cycling adventure. Collarbone, shoulder blade, ribs, and a partially collapsed lung. So it's pretty good. Yeah. I made it 10 laps, right? I think, will they give me a free lap if I jump back in? They give me a free lap if I jump back in. I think I can catch them. No, it's a bad joke, yeah, man. No, I'm in good hands. My mom is flying in, so I'll be annoyed at how much attention I get. All right, so we did a little welcome to the hospital video when I first landed here the other day, and then since we're out of order with the episodes, this is the other episode. I was really excited to do a Trexler Town episode of my show, because I used to come here when I first started racing. We would spend summers at the track here, and it's kind of important to me and a big part of the North America cycling community that I want to talk about. So I kind of screwed that up by crashing onto breaking all my bones in my face, but I'm not going to give up. So first we're going to talk about what's going on here. I went to the hospital. They put me in the ICU, and then that night they brought me. I guess the only beds left were in the burn unit, and so they sent me to the burn unit. I was very disappointed that the burn unit didn't embrace the whole burn joke. Like, I wanted to get there and it would be like, if this was easy, it would be your mom. You know, I wanted a sign like that in the burn unit, but they didn't have that. And then honestly, that was the worst night of my life, was the burn unit. I think they didn't have the painkillers the way I needed them, and it was hot and I was thirsty. It was a rough night, and I broke 8 bones. How many ribs do you have on each side? I broke that many plus 2, because it's all the ribs and then the shoulder blade and the collarbone. So there were a lot of things to hurt. And then the next day, Bobby Lee came by, which was super helpful. Bobby Lee, I think, that's my blood pressure thing. It's automatic. I can't control it. It's just to me. Bobby Lee, when I first started doing the Olympic thing, Bobby Lee, if you don't know, multi-time Olympian on the track and a T-Town legend. When I first did the test, I called Bobby and I was like, Mom, my mom came to visit and disrupt the videos as much as she possibly could. But I do appreciate I'm taken care of here, except when the cameras are rolling.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Bobby Lee, when I first did the Olympic test thing, I called him and I was like, dude, talk me out of this. Please talk me out of this. And he's like, man, 4:30's fast. You got to do it. So I think he feels responsible for everything, and he should, because it's all his fault. So he came and helped me out, and he's been supportive in this whole deal. But anyways, I was in the burn unit, and then and then I went. That was a rough night, and then they brought me back to the ICU. Bobby connected me with a great surgeon, Neil. What's his last name, Mommy? Make yourself useful.
I gotta look it up, don't it? Really? Stan Dusky?
Look it up. You wrote it down.
Stan Dusky. Stan something.
Well, let's get it right. I've already forgotten his name, so it sort of ruined the whole thing. We're gonna have to cut this part. Like Bobby introduced me
I'm
as
good
Neil.
when I'm prepared.
I told you I was gonna need his name.
I didn't know. Neil Stansbury.
Stansbury. Sandusky, I think, is like.
Forget that.
Yeah,
That's the
Sandusky
guy
is
that
like a
got in all
criminal or
kinds of
something.
trouble.
Yeah, we don't. Not
do
Sandusky.
him.
Absolutely
He was
not.
the one at Penn State.
Yeah, Stansbury.
Forget him. Stansbury.
Neil Stansbury, who hasn't molested anybody. He did my collarbone surgery, and he did a great job, and he was super helpful, and everything's been dialed since then. And then a bunch of you wonderful people donated to Chef Cycle, and I did the really sad hospital video. And then Chef Cycle was happy for me, and they have a chef nearby, and he brought some cookies and a nice breakfast. Shout out to Lee. Yeah, and then I also have, for my props, I have my broken shit. I ruined my cookie gloves, and that's sad. Castelli cookie gloves. Ruined a lot. I have brand new shoes that actually I think the shoes are fine. Okay, anyway. That's where I'm at. I'm gonna get home. So this is the first part of a comeback video. I don't know what I'm coming back from. I don't know what I'm coming to. So
this is a 3-4-5 race in Reno, the Air Center Crit. We all started back away from the start line because it was shady. It was very hot. It was well into the 90s. I've raced this course more than any other course I've raced in Reno. It's our local crit course. Not unlikely to get national champions racing with you in a field of 12, but this time we had a medium-sized group, 3-4-5.
Yeah, and it was a USAC official race, so there's points on the line, which is why we were trying to get you some upgrade points, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's just the plain four-corner crit. I think we've covered this one a lot, but 2 real bends, 2 long straights. It's usually a little windy. This stretch is usually a little headwindier, and the start-finish stretch is usually a cross-tail.
But on this race, actually, this day, the start-finish was a headwind, which is going to be important.
Yeah, and there's about, 25 people in this one.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty mellow for the first half, except for there goes Tucker.
Yeah, producer Tucker just like, I'm gonna rail the gutter. Okay, you want to move forward?
Yeah, let's go to 12 and a half minutes in, and that's when the race starts heating up a little bit. So up to this point, you've been really good job of just hanging out, staying sheltered, and watching everybody else do things. There's been some attacks, but everybody else is shutting everything down, and everybody seems pretty motivated. I think in a race like this, people all want to win, right? Like more so.
Yeah, there's not many USAC points in Reno. You have to usually drive, 5 to 8 hours round trip. So when there is a race in Reno, everyone wants points.
Everybody wants points. So this is where some of the attacks have been flying, and you haven't done anything up to this point, which has been pretty awesome. You've done a good job of staying coasting past people and staying on the pedals, but I think you decide to see what it's like out there in the wind.
Yeah, they slowed down. They slowed down, so I was like, well, I want to cause an acceleration in the field so everyone gets a little bit tired, because we really haven't done any work.
And you have a couple of people who are directly under your wheel. They've been waiting for you to do this, like the first 15 minutes of the race. That wasn't a super long attack, but it's kind of enough to see how many people are going to come with you.
Yeah, I just elbowed the guy through early because I wasn't doing a super long attack, so he was still pretty fresh too. But obviously, everyone followed.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it is. It's only 12 minutes into the race, but more of these attacks start happening and the race gets a little spicier. Let's go to 17 minutes in. So now that the race has been a little more heated, people are actually strung out. It's not that big group, and you've been kind of roving the front and staying on top of these little moves a little better.
They're coasting now.
And so, of course, you gotta punish them, right?
I know. Pete, you tell me this like every day at work.
So, and the same guys are on your wheel again, but this time it's a real attack. As you can see, you're putting down the power. It's on this back straight.
35.
And this is where a lot of moves happen on this course. This straight really lends itself to attacking. People don't want to work into this bend, and the start-finish straight is hard, like you said today. So you really want the gap going into that.
Yeah.
And so you keep the power down. You go all the way through the corner, which I think is perfect. If you flick someone through into a corner like this, you're pretty much robbing your group of a little speed. I think this was a preem lap, right?
I don't remember.
I can tell by the way people are sprinting for it. But the pressure's on, and Mike on your wheel ends up coming by you and going for the preem.
Yeah, it looks like it was a preem lap because he was sprinting. But we have a pretty good gap. There's 2 Audi guys with us. I think Mike just got tired out by doing that.
And you attack through the preem, which is something we try to get you to do, or try to get everybody to do all the time. Is everybody's tired, everybody committed for one point in the race, or the prize, or the cash, or whatever, and you attack through it, which is perfect, right?
Here's the one rider up the road who I joined too.
And so now that the race has been strung out for a handful of minutes, there was a preem. It's pretty much the perfect time to get everybody rolling, and you do a good job of encouraging everybody to start working. You guys know you have the gap, and it only takes a little bit more work now because most of the work's already been done to establish this break.
Yeah.
I think everybody sort of comes back together, but let's scoot up to 24:30 in. So what kind of happened there is a couple guys from the field ended up joining your group, and so now this is the real breakaway. And a couple,
we did stick, didn't we?
Yeah, it kind of fell apart for a little bit, and then a couple people fell out of the break, and a couple people joined the break. It was kind of there's a little wiggle room there, but this is the break that gets established for the day. And as you can see, everybody's pulling. I don't know. It looked pretty unruly to me watching the video. How did it feel while you were in there?
It was a while ago, but I remember it feeling easy.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking, I'm like, looking back and knowing the riders in the race, I was like, okay, there are some fast people with us. I don't think there's too many fast people that at least don't have teammates in the main field. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking I shouldn't push too hard on these pulls, but I still want to keep the speed up.
Yeah, and you did a really good job of smoothing out all your pulls. I think over and over you kept doing the right things in this race, which was awesome.
I listened to you, Pete.
So as you can see, you start getting behind the riders as they pull. A lot of people are giving up that space right at the beginning and then having to drift all the way to the back and then reaccelerate. Every time someone pulls through on you, you end up staying right on them. So you're getting that little bit more of a shelter, and you're in the better position over and over and over. Yeah. And so over a 15-minute breakaway, that makes a huge difference in the way you feel.
Yeah.
So as you can see now, the guy slots back in, so you give up that spot. You know, you don't want to waste any energy sitting around there.
Why did he slot in so early?
I don't know. Some people like being near the front. Maybe he's worried about something or wants to attack, or I don't know. But you played it exactly right, where you go back to the back of the group. You get to assess what's happening, and then you get to roll through again, get the shelter the whole time.
Yeah.
So let's go up to 30 minutes in. So now that you said the race felt a little easy to you, I can kind of understand why you were attacking now. Everybody fans out. They're still working, though, so that's why I was kind of curious if you thought nobody was working hard enough, or you just wanted to shake a couple of people out of the group.
I wanted to shake people out of the group. It was really there's a tailwind section, so even though we're going fast, I thought too, attacking into a tailwind, they were going to have to do some work. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure if anyone was going to be able to come with me or a couple people, but definitely one guy, Tim Bright, he was given the fake, like acting like he was really tired, although being able to respond to all the attacks.
Yep.
I tried to talk to him, and he was like shaking his head like he couldn't do it. and I knew he was faking.
Playing the game.
I knew he was playing, and I knew in a previous race, I knew where he'd launch from the third corner. So I just kept thinking in my brain, like, Tim's going to launch from the third corner. He's just waiting for that because he's in a great position to get some points.
Exactly. And there's only 8 minutes left in the race, or 9 minutes left in the race. So you have to start figuring out, you don't want to drag everybody to the finish, right?
No. And the other thing is, I realize some of these local racers, they watch these videos, and I race with them a lot. They know I'm going to do a long bomb on the last lap. So I thought, well, I'm either going to go really long or I'm going to sprint.
Yeah.
And if this didn't stick, I was like, I'm just going to sprint. Because I got to change it up. If I do the same thing every time, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So yeah, you did a good job. You made the attack. You weren't going super hard, but you got the gap, and then you worked that pace. So you were staying fast, not working super hard, and they catch you in about a lap. But you know, the point is that you stirred the pot again, and now people will be thinking about finishing the race, and there's producer Tucker pulling you back.
Yeah. Yeah, he's my employee, and he's pulling me back. Not sure why that happened. Love it to one-on-one later, Tucker. He's in the room.
So one of the things I kept noticing is Mike, the guy in your rear view cam, is on your wheel like this whole entire race. He's pretty much just waiting for you to do your plan.
And he has a very similar profile to me, where he doesn't have a lot of snap, but he's got a big diesel engine.
Yep. And so that's a good way to think about being in a group like this. Is you want to be on someone's wheel who has similar strengths to yours. So you don't want to be on someone super poppy if you can't really sprint, and if you're a dieseler, be on someone else so that they're going to respond to things the same way. And I would have attacked right here into the headwind or into this windy section rather than before the corner. But you jump on his wheel, he gives you a sweet lead out.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a gap for a second, but he did go really wide.
Really wide, and if he just would have waited a handful of seconds, I think this move would have been way more effective.
You can see Mike down in the rear view mirror. He's tightening his shoe.
He's
not
coasting.
that hard. Yeah.
If you could tighten your shoe. And so Mike is just head down, and I don't think this is when he realizes what's going on. And everybody is just about to come back to you, which is good, which means nobody can kind of jump you right at this moment.
Yeah.
But now that a couple seconds have passed, you can see Tim go in your rear cam, and you catch him, which is perfect timing.
Yeah, I was expecting it. That's his spot.
That's the spot. So you knew it was going to happen. You take this inside line.
He goes so wide.
And he goes so wide.
And it really helps me as I get to save a lot of distance and a lot of energy.
And even this much of a gap is still helpful to you. You can tell that you're closing in on him and making it happen.
And it's a headwind.
So right as he stands up to sprint, you hit it preemptively. So you get to make the choice of when the sprint starts. And look at that.
Bam.
Just dust everybody.
I know. So Mike Dunn did San Rafael with the last video we did. This is before San Rafael. He sprinted, I think, for second or first in his age group. But he was like third overall with 35 plus.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Yeah,
I'm going to talk about San Rafael for like the next 2 years. We'll put a link up to watch my misery.
But that was a nice job. You did a bunch of things right, all in order, and it works, right? If you make a bunch of right decisions, it's just awesome.
Cool. Sorry. I don't know what to say. Usually, I don't think I've ever done it right before. Thanks for the kind words, Pete.
Yeah, for sure. Nice job.
Thank you. I'm Nate.
And I'm Pete.
And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumb.
All right, that's it. 45 minutes, 250 TSS today. We'll check you next ride. Thursday by Saturday. We're trying to stack these rides to get some heavy TSS per day. So I will catch everybody on Saturday for double up and coffee ride. Plus a nice workout beforehand. I haven't figured out exactly what. All right, catch you then. Later.